Hey, birds, folks. We're going to talk a little bit about binoculars today and basically outline what you need for the class and why we're using optics. Kind of obvious, but I want to reiterate some points. What makes up good features in a binocular that you can use for the class and birding and on into your professional career? And maybe give you some resources if you're thinking about buying a pair of your own. Now, as I've said before, we have binoculars here in the program that you can check out. So I'm not asking you to go buy a pair, spend money right now on something that you may think you don't really need in the long term or don't want to buy for just this one class. So don't go buy any. If you feel the need to check a pair out, please let me know. You need binoculars. Optics are crucial to pulling in birds to a point that you can actually see the features. And when a turkey vulture flies in front of you 50 yards away, you look at it and you say, well, I don't need binoculars to see that. Ravens, other bald eagle, other big charismatic birds, easy to identify without optics. Try and identify warblers in the canopy of a pine forest that are 60 to 180 feet up, and there's just no doing it with the naked eye. So they're absolutely essential to effective birding and to learning these birds. And I will tell you this, a lot of students have found out that by looking in the field guide and looking at what a bird looks like and then going out in the field and seeing it in the field, they're like, well, that doesn't look anything like it does in the field guide. Well, it does, but it presents itself in different lighting, in different positions, in a variety of different circumstances, and can look different. This is where good binoculars really help pull it in to see those features. We also have the option in this class, or we do use spotting scopes, and we'll talk a little bit about spotting scopes. Um, you are able to check out spotting scopes, but not for the term. I don't have enough to send them out for the whole term, but we'll talk a little bit about spotting scopes. As far as binoculars go, there's a bunch of different features found within a binocular. Some are not super critical, like what kind of lens covers it has or what kind of strap it has, and others are really important to the functionality. Although we'll also talk about strap systems because those can really save you some fatigue. They come in differing powers, right? So one of the features of a binocular is how much magnification do I get, and that's usually given by a number between 6 and 20, depending on the style of binocular. You want to stay away from low-powered binoculars, and you want to stay away from high-powered binoculars over 10. And the reason for that is they're just too shaky to hold handheld. And you can use 12 power can be used handheld, but 15 power on up really need a tripod. And the other thing is the higher the power, the heavier the binocular. So be aware of that. So I'm recommending powers between 7 and 10. Most birders prefer 9 or 10 for birding. 7 and 8 are usually lighter binoculars, and I have a pair of 8 power binoculars that are pretty lightweight, and I use them a lot for big game hunting, where carrying these over long distances for long days is really that few ounces of weight is important. For birding, again, most birders really seem to like 9 and 10 powers. There is a diameter affiliated with the objective end of the binocular. That's this end. So this would be the ocular or eyepiece, and this is ocular lens, and this is the objective lens. The objective lens diameter is what's going to regulate how much light enters the binocular, and then how much gets to your eye is a function of a couple other things that we'll talk about. But the bigger the objective end, the greater the field of view. Now, field of view is the width that you see when you look through the binocular, and it's usually given in feet at 100 yards. And so, or sometimes it's given in yards at 100 yards, or some ratio like that to tell you how wide a field of view you're going to have. The wider the field of view, the easier it is to pick something up when you're looking for it. And we're going to talk about how to visually acquire targets with your binoculars, because that is something that some folks indicate they have difficulty with. I couldn't find it in the binoculars fast enough when we do field quizzes, which probably isn't going to happen this term, but it is an acquired skill to locate something in the center of your binocular, nearly instantly, and I'll teach you how to do that. The prism style is another feature of binoculars that relates to the cost and the construction and the quality. These are what are called roof prism binoculars, and these are what are called poro prism binoculars. And you can see that these have the bent barrel, okay, and these have a straight barrel. It's not an important outcome of this course that you know the difference, but I do want to point out these tend to be more expensive. These tend to be much less expensive to make, and thus you can find, Bushnell and Tasco and other optics companies offer a $20 binocular, and I've had students say, hey, I saw one on Amazon for $20. Should I get those? No. In my opinion, stay away from binoculars that are $20. The poro or roof prism binoculars have come a long way in quality and price coming down. So you can now get a pretty darn good pair of roof prism binoculars for not that much. And when I say not that much, I'm talking about in the $100 to $200 range, which is a fair chunk of money, and you can get a pair of binoculars that will suffice for the course for less than that. But if you're going to keep them for a long time, look at binoculars as a long-term investment. I have a pair of Swarovskis, which are very high-end Austrian-made binoculars. I paid $650 for them on sale 22 years ago now. So you can expect a long life out of good binoculars, and they're still working very well. The exit pupil is another feature of binoculars that's important to how much light gets to your eye. So what the exit pupil is a ratio between the power and the objective diameter that determines the shaft of light that strikes your eye. Now, just real simply, the human eye opens up roughly to a maximum of 5 millimeters. So you don't want an exit pupil bigger than 5. It's not buying you anything. The only thing an exit pupil bigger than 5 will get you is a wider field of view, which for marine applications, the Navy used to use binoculars with huge field of views when you're scanning, vast open areas. That works to your advantage. For birding, you want a nice field of view, but you also want light to hit your eye. But don't go that route of a huge field of view and a huge exit pupil for a big, heavy binocular that doesn't really buy you anything. All right, so how do you determine exit pupil? Oh, I'm going to find my prop here. So exit pupil is, as we said, it's the diameter of the shaft of light that reaches your eye, okay? It's the ratio of the objective diameter in millimeters divided by the power. So it's just simply a unitless ratio, and you can see here 8 power binoculars with a 40 millimeter objective lens, which are often just simply referred to as 8x40s. The 8x40s have an exit pupil of 5 millimeters, right? So there you are at your 5 that you want to try and get to have maximum light striking your eye. I have a pair of 8x30s with an exit pupil of 3 point something, what is it, 3.8. And so there, what does that mean when you have that narrower shaft of light? It means that in low light conditions, i.e. a forested area with a lot of canopy and a lot of shade, not as much light's going to hit your eye, not as much color, not as much contrast, those things. So the 5 millimeter exit pupil is nice. You can find 8x42s, which have a little over 5 for an exit pupil. You can find 9x40s, which is close to 5. You can find 9x45s, which is 5, and 10x50s. Those are the common iterations. And so something in that range is going to give you good light transmission, there is a misnomer out there about binoculars with big objective lenses and high-end glass that they say, ooh, these have great light gathering power. They don't gather light. The only things that gather light are electronically powered light amplification systems like military night vision goggles. Those amplify light or gather light, if you will. Binoculars do not gather light. They only transmit it through, and transmission through the binocular is hindered or enhanced by that diameter and the quality of the lens glass. So this is a pair of Poro Prism binoculars that we have. These are 8x42s. These are the departmental ones, so they have a exit pupil a little over 5. They are made in China, and they didn't cost very much. I think these were $140. So they're not the highest end things, but they are pretty clear. They're not bad at all, and these will serve you well if you check out a pair of ours. If you want to buy a pair, I get a lot of questions about brands. What brand binoculars should I get? And I tell you, look, here's what to look for. Now go look at binoculars and decide which ones you like. Now, in this current climate, going and looking at binoculars might not be something you want to do, but Sportsman's Warehouse is open. I just drove by there yesterday. And you can certainly shop online. So read about the features, shop online, get them delivered, look through them. If you don't like them, package them up and send them back. So what you want to look for are price, obviously. Figure out what price you want to spend, ideally, and then look at the clarity through the lenses. And this will have to be something that you do once you get them. Look at how clear and crisp things look when you focus them. And then look at the warranty that comes with them. And what we're seeing now is that in this price war or this competition war between companies, because there's a lot that make binoculars, one of the ways to attract customers is to give them a fantastic warranty. These are Vortex. Vortex is reasonably new company to the optics world, and with the decrease in price of optical glass, they have figured out that they can offer binoculars of outstanding quality for not that much money. They have tiered models, so you can spend $150 and get their base model. You can spend $800 and get their top of the line. You're going to stop noticing the difference at about the $250 range or so. Most folks don't really notice in terms of the field utility. But when I say clarity, look at clarity, how sharp and crisp things are in the binocular, and then move your eye without moving the binocular. Look to the edges of the field of view and look for where it gets blurry. Now, all binoculars are going to get blurry right out there at that very edge of the field of view, all of them, even $1,000 pairs. But really good pairs, it's going to be really close. And really cheap pairs, as soon as your eye deviates from the middle of the field of view, you're going to say, wow, things aren't in focus anymore. Okay, so that's what you want to look for in binoculars. I like Vortex. I like Leopold. These are Leopold binoculars made in, Leopold is a company here in Oregon. These are made in China for Leopold. Nikon makes good binoculars. There's a variety, and then there's the very high-end European-made glass, Leica, Bausch & Lomb, Swarovski, which are some of the very, very best that are out there. You don't need those, but those are available. All right, so ask me questions if you have them. I'm going to end this one now, post this, and then I'm going to shoot another short little video on how to use your binoculars, how to focus them, etc.